Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome into my latest video. And as I promised, and as I do every single year for the past few years, the week before the season kicks off, I give out my season predictions where I'm going to give you guys my division winners. I'm going to give you guys my award winners, who I think makes the playoffs, and then my Super Bowl prediction. Before I dive into this video, just so you guys do know my process, what I do is I use this great site. It's called playoffpredictors.com. If you guys have never used it, I definitely suggest checking it out. It's a very cool site where you can literally pick every single game and who you think is going to win, and then it kind of gives you a great perspective on how these seasons could turn out, because you could be very high on a team, but they might have a tough schedule, or you could be very low on a team, but they have a pretty easy schedule where they end up winning more games than you do expect. Now, I run through it 3 times. The first time I kind of just go, hey, who do I think would win this game if they played today? When it's the division matchups, I try to give a fair balance if it's on a road, if it's a home or road matchup, depending on who's playing. Second run through, I try to give a benefit of the doubt to team, like for example, like the Titans, right? I think the Titans have like a lot of pieces. I think they had a really great offseason, but it's going to depend on what Will Levis we get. So the second time I was like, hey, what if Will Levis is a baller this year? Let's say the Titans win majority of their games. How does this season play out for them, and how does that affect the overall season for everybody else that they play? And then the third time, I try to keep a nice balance of what I did in the first one, a nice balance of what I did in the second run, and then also too, you can kind of get lost on the playoff predictors, because all of a sudden you'll look at somebody's record like, holy crap, I haven't gave that team a win yet, or oh man, that team has won so many games, so I need to give them a loss here. I need to give this team a win here, and then you kind of then I what I do is I kind of average out how they finished out, and then what I truly feel how their season's going to play out, and then I finalize my divisional standing. So let's go ahead and dive into it. I'm gonna start with the AFC. How I got the AFC finishing: I got the Jets winning the division. I have the Dolphins coming in second place in the division, the Bills coming in third, and then the Patriots coming in the fourth division. I'm just very bullish on the Jets this year. It is a make or break year for them. They have all the pieces to go on a Super Bowl run, but can the older players like Aaron Rodgers and the older guys on their offensive line stay healthy? If they can, I think they're going to win a lot of games this year, and potentially, I don't want to spoil anything, go on a Super Bowl run. Now, the Dolphins, I'm very high on them as well. I do have concerns over their offensive line and how long it will take for the defense to do their part. They got like Bradley Chubb's on the pup list to start the year. So how long is it going to take the defense to gel? The defense can gel very quickly and do their part and help balance out the offense. This is a team that can go on a deep playoff run and show up in the Super Bowl by the end of the year. The Bills will always be competitive with Josh Allen, but how quick can this offense evolve? How quick can like guys like Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid, Khalil Shakir, James Cook, will those guys be impact players like they can be? And if they can be a team that can be right back to the playoffs. But I'm expecting them to take a step back this year, kind of retool this team and make a really good run next year. The Patriots, this is just a rebuilding year for them. Jacoby Brissett, it came out, he will start the season. So all you want to see is whenever Drake May does come into the lineup, because he will come into this lineup at some point this season. You just want to see promise from Drake May at the end of the year and maybe win a game or two and start to build this thing up for 2025 and beyond. Moving into the AFC North, how I have them finishing out, I got the Bengals winning this division. I think this is the last run with the Jamar. I think they're going to figure out the contract with Jamar Chase. They got T. Higgins, who's playing on the franchise tag. This is like that last run for that group, so that's why I think they're going to win the division. I got the Ravens in second place. I got the Browns in third, and then I got the Steelers finishing in fourth. But when I did run through this, they all kind of like the Browns were normal around 3 or 4, but Bengals and Ravens stayed at top, and then that second run through, I was like, hey, what if Russell Wilson's good and the Steelers finish in first? But I'm kind of low on the Steelers. Just kind of run over my notes on these guys. Joe Burrow will always make this team competitive as long as he can stay healthy. Obviously, their question mark is the offensive line as it is, but it should be improved with the additions that they made with Trent Brown. And then I do expect more consistent play from their defense, especially with a healthy Joe Burrow that won't have that defense out on the field consistently. The Ravens, I I'm just wondering if their revamped offensive line with the new pieces won't hold the offensive back. With the continuity in the pass catchers and the addition of Derrick Henry, I think that offense should be good. But I do wonder if the offensive line is going to gel and be as good as it has been over the last couple years. And the defense should be good as it always is. And this is a Super Bowl or bust team for the Ravens. Browns defense should be great, but this team is contingent on what version of Deshaun Watson are we going to get. If we get what the Deshaun Watson that we saw last year, this team's going to struggle to win games throughout the year. Now, of course, they need Jerome Ford and Deontay Foreman to step up with Chubb on the pup list to start the year. But overall, this is a very good team that it does offer a high ceiling, but offers a very low floor. So that's why I have them at third. And then the Steelers, they have all the pieces on their defense to be a typical great Steelers defense, but I just see the offense eventually holding them back. Can they get competent quarterback play from Russell Wilson or Justin Fields? What about the offensive line? The offensive line is very banged up right now. So if they enter the season banged up, when they finally get the banged up pieces on, how long is it going to take for the offensive line to gel? It came out. I'm going to talk about this with the 49ers. It literally came out right before I hit record, which made me question. I'll get to the 49ers later. Made me question if I should make some changes, but Ayuk is staying in San Francisco. So is George Pickens and Pat Freiermuth enough for this passing attack? Are there going to be any other pass catchers that step up? So that's why I got them finishing fourth, because I just have some questions about that offense heading into the season. Moving into the AFC South, I got the Texans finishing first. I got the Colts finishing second in the division. The Jaguars finishing third. And then I got the Titans finishing fourth. Now, this is a very interesting division because I could literally see any four of these teams winning the division. Going over the Texans, with all the additions they made on the offense and the defensive side of the ball, they could definitely go win the Super Bowl this year. The health of the offensive line is something to watch. It was an issue at times for Houston last year. So if the offensive line does get hurt, can they continue to sustain that success on offense and give CJ Stroud enough time to throw the ball? And then also too, can the young players on their defense deliver? That defense has a lot of potential to be like a top 5 defense in the NFL. So that's why I would not be surprised if we see the Houston Texans in the Super Bowl by the end of the year. For the Colts, it's all about Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor staying healthy. If they can stay healthy, they have top 5 offense potential in my opinion. Now, let's just say Anthony Richardson gets hurt. I do think they would be competitive with Joe Flacco in the lineup like we saw with Gardner Minshew, but a real playoff run, in my opinion, would be doubtful. And then the biggest issue with the Colts is their secondary. They're depending on a lot of young guys in the secondary. That could be the potential Achilles heel, and they're going to have to probably depend on the offense to put up a lot of points if the guys in the secondary cannot step up this season. The Jaguars, can Trevor Lawrence take a huge step this year? He's kind of been just like right there on the cusp of being a very good quarterback. He's kind of been up and down, but this team is going to need him to carry. He's going to have to carry this team into the playoffs if they're going to make a run. They have the pieces, but can Brian Thomas Jr. and Gabe Davis deliver for that offense? On the defensive side of the ball, I like what they have. They do have playmakers on all 3 levels of the ball, but can they be consistent? My note on them is I feel like they're a playoff caliber team, but if they bust, I wonder if people are going to start wondering if Doug Peterson's the right head coach for Jacksonville going forward. As I kind of talked about in my intro when I was talking about my process, the Titans. You know, my biggest question with them is it's kind of hard to say Will Levis, but does Will Levis, here, that's an easier way for me to say it. Does Will Levis could take the next step in year 2? Can that offensive line gel and improve from last year? Now, they do have Brian Callahan's dad coaching the offensive line. He's notable because he's known as the best offensive line coach in the NFL. And if they can do that, that offense has so much potential with DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley. Then they got Tajay Spears and Tony Pollard there, and it's all about the quarterback. And then I really like what they got on the defense, but they got to stay healthy. They got guys that like Chidobe Awuzie, L'Jarius Sneed. Those are very good cornerbacks, but those guys do have to stay healthy. Otherwise, I feel like this team it's kind of like they have a high ceiling, but the floor can really drop on underneath them very quickly if guys start to get hurt on the defensive side of the ball. And then to wrap up the AFC West, this is probably the easiest division for me to pick. The Chiefs are the Chiefs. I expect them to win the division. I got the Chargers finishing second just because I think Jim Harbaugh will make them competitive. I got the Broncos finishing third. I think they'll be a lot better with Bo Nix and Sean Payton's second year with the franchise. But it's just it's the lack of overall talent on both sides of the ball. Why I don't think they're going to go on a real run this season. And then the Raiders, I got them finishing fourth because I just do not like the quarterback situation with Gardner Minshew or even Aiden O'Connell if they head in if he ends up taking over. But yeah, my only concern really about the Chiefs is they are going to be starting a rookie left tackle. Can he make sure that Patrick Mahomes stays healthy this year? Can the defense, though, can they repeat what they did at the end of the year through the playoff run? But it's the Chiefs are the Chiefs, so it's probably going to happen, right? The Chargers, I think we're going to see an improved rushing attack with the new scheme and the new pieces in the backfield that they have here. My questions and marks about them is, will Justin Herbert's injury be a issue? Can the new wide receiver room deliver this season? I like their defense. It can be solid, but they have a lot of injury-prone players on that side of the ball. So can they stay healthy on the defense to be good enough to help them win games? It does feel like they're just going to be a middle-of-the-pack competitive team underneath Harbaugh in his first year. As I mentioned with the Broncos, I think it's going to be a rebuild year. Can Bo Nix hit the ground running as a older rookie quarterback? But I do have concerns over their passing attack. Are they going to be able to sustain drives? Is that defense that doesn't really have a lot of talent outside of Patrick Surtain going to end up falling apart? That's why I think they'll win maybe 5 or 6 games, but I just don't think they're going to be a playoff caliber team. And as I said with the Raiders, the quarterback position is going to hold them back. Does Davante Adams get traded this season? They have a great defensive front, but as I always say with teams, it's like you could have a great defense, but if your offense is consistently on the field, you see this every single season with great defenses that are paired with bad offenses. The great defenses can be great for the first 8 to 10 weeks, but if they eventually have to be on the field all the time, eventually those defenses break down. Sometimes they give up and then they end up just getting gashed, and it just ends up being a team that's picking in the top 5 by the end of the year. Moving into the NFC, the NFC East. I'm not sure how to figure them out. So even though I don't necessarily love this, I got the Cowboys winning the division. I got the Eagles finishing second. I got the Commanders finishing third. And then I got the Giants finishing fourth. The reason why I don't like the Cowboys is I just don't like the bad juju that's kind of surrounding them, right? Dak has his contract issue entering the season. Mike McCarthy's entering a lame duck year, and typically when coaches entering a lame duck year, that doesn't really work out for their team. And I do have concerns over them having a consistent rushing attack. Sure, they got the older players and Ezekiel Elliott and Dalvin Cook now on that team. I think Rico Dowdle is actually going to be the guy that should get majority of the carries. And I don't think they have a lot of depth though, on their offensive line and on the defensive side of the ball. So this is a team where the Cowboys could be one of those, again, a typical good regular season Cowboys team, but if injuries start to happen to their roster, all of a sudden they can be a team that's not that very good every single week. The Eagles, it's the same thing with them, right? There's that report that came out where Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni are not getting along well. So it's do you really trust that heading into the season? It seems like Sirianni's kind of on the hot seat, not necessarily entering a lame duck year because he still has more years on his contract. But overall, they have the pieces on offense to be a top 5 unit. The defense should be improved this season with the additions that they made to the linebacker room and the secondary. But they're going to need to deliver. I mean, they're counting on rookies. They're counting on a reclamation project and Devin White at the linebacker position. Because if those guys don't deliver right now, that defense is going to hold the Eagles back again. But again, they have the overall team though to win the division. I wouldn't be surprised if they do. Now the Commanders, they're frisky. So I have them finishing third just because it is a rookie quarterback. I feel like they are a year away from making the playoffs, but if you told me the Commanders won the NFC East by the end of the year because all the drama that is surrounding the Cowboys and Eagles bites them in the butt, I would not be shocked. If Daniels can hit the ground running, I think the offense can be frisky, but they do need somebody outside of Terry McLaurin to be a consistent pass catcher in the passing attack. And I do have concerns over their offensive line because they are also depending on a rookie left tackle to protect Daniels' blind side. The defense, they have a solid mixture of talent, but I just don't see the defense having a high ceiling. They're gonna need Dan Quinn to coach their defense better than what they overall have on that unit. But I think they're gonna be like a team at the end of the year where you don't really want to play them because they're going to be upsetting teams and potentially pushing for a wild card spot. The Giants, they have a great front seven on their defense. The secondary can be an issue though if the young players don't step up. And then they have the pieces on offense to be competent, but what Daniel Jones is going to show up. If it's the Daniel Jones that we saw in the preseason, I totally expect the Giants to be the worst team in this division. But if we get the Daniel Jones from 2 seasons ago, all of a sudden you're talking about a team that could potentially win this division and be better than what people do expect. Moving into the NFC North, this is one I was kind of debating on, like who could win the division. I settled on the Packers. I got the Packers winning division. I got the Lions finishing second because I kind of feel like the Lions take a little slight step back from what they did last year. The Bears finishing third, and then I got the Vikings finishing fourth. I'm very high. You'll find out. You'll find out, trust me. I am very bullish on the Packers this year because if Love can continue his trajectory with all the pieces they have in that wide receiver room, with the addition of Josh Jacobs in that offense, they have a top 5 potential offense. And I wouldn't be surprised if Jordan Love by the end of the season is in MVP conversation. I'm actually very high on their defense this year, especially with the addition of Xavier McKinney. They have playmakers on all 3 levels of the ball, and this team should be in competition to win the NFC and representing the NFC in the Super Bowl by the end of the year. Now the Lions, barring injury, their offense should be as potent as it was last year. My thing what were you gonna get on their defense, right? Can they get a consistent pass rush outside of Aiden Hutchinson? Will the additions that they made to the cornerback room, will they deliver as far as the rookies and the veteran cornerback from Tampa that they got this offseason? He needs to stay healthy, more things than that. But they have the addition. They have all the pieces to once again go on a deep playoff run and potentially get to the Super Bowl. I don't know. It's just something that it's my inclination. I feel like they kind of take a slight step back, but you'll see. I have them. I'll go ahead and spoil it. I do have them making the playoffs. The Bears, they're very interesting. I think kind of like the Commanders. I think they're going to be like a frisky team. Nobody's going to really want to see at the end of the year where they're kind of pushing for a wild card spot. Their offense, they have all the talent to be a top 10 unit if Caleb Williams can have like a CJ Stroud like season. And also too, my biggest concern though with that offense is their offensive line. Is it going to be a detriment to the unit where they're going to hold them back from winning games throughout the season? Now that defense was very good at the end of the year. I think that should actually carry over, and that's why I think they can win some games at the beginning of the year. And like I kept on kind of saying throughout this little section with the Bears, I think they're a sneaky playoff caliber team. I just don't know if they're going to get in quite this year. Now the Vikings, unfortunately, I'm not the person that's going to be high on Sam Darnold finally figuring it out, right? I was not high on him entering when he went back in that 2018 draft. But with that being said, I think the Vikings have a lot of talent on both sides of the ball where they should be at least a competitive middle of the pack team. I do think Darnold's going to cost his team wins throughout the season with turnovers. My other concern is they are depending on some older pieces in the secondary, which could end up costing them games if the older pieces kind of come back down to earth with their age or if injuries pop up. And just because of the Lions, the Bears, and the Packers, I think they're going to finish with a worse record than the talent that they have on their roster. Moving into the NFC South, I got the Falcons winning the division. I got the Bucks taking second, the Saints finishing third, and the Panthers finishing fourth. I just am very high. I like Raheem Morris. You're going to find that out in my awards section. There's a spoiler right there for you. But all the additions to this offense and this defense make this a team that can win the NFC and go to the Super Bowl. Now, they do need somebody that's going to be a consistent pass catcher outside of Drake London in Kyle Pitts, but I think with the addition of Kirk Cousins, with his accuracy as a quarterback, you're going to see this be a more of a potent offense, especially with how they're going to utilize Bijan Robinson this season. My concern with the defense, though, is can they get a consistent pass rush outside of Matthew Judon, and can Matthew Judon stay healthy? If he can stay healthy, that guy's a very dominant edge rusher where he can help out their secondary, and they can be I would say about a maybe right outside a top 10 defense, maybe slide inside there if it all can come together. But I'm very high on what the Falcons can do this season. The Bucks, they should be solid again underneath Baker. But again, can Baker Mayfield repeat what he did last year and help them win the NFC South? I think as long as they can handle their games against the Falcons, I wouldn't be surprised if they win this division. But I think they have what it takes to at least be a wild card team if the games can fall in their favor. The Saints, they can be solid, but if anybody's followed me over the years, I'm just not as big as Derek Carr fan. I just feel like this is going to be a very boring team. I think the offense can be very stagnant this year because of the offensive line and you're depending on a older Alvin Kamara and Jamal Williams in the backfield, and then I just think Derek Carr is going to be underneath pressure all the time. And if you've seen Derek Carr play enough, he always struggles underneath pressure. And then same thing with the older players on the defense. The defense can be good again, but will the older veterans finally see their age catch up to them, and that can be a detriment to the team? I just think the Saints are going to win a lot of games this year. As far as the Panthers, they just don't have enough overall talent to win a lot of games, but I still believe in Bryce Young. I think you're going to see an improvement from here. I think the team, I like Dave Canales, their new head coach. I think they could be like a frisky team at the end of the year where like they're not going to win a lot of games, but I think I can see them finishing the last 4 to 5 weeks pretty strong, where people can kind of be excited about Bryce Young and the Panthers in the 2025 season. The last division, the NFC West, which is, like I said, it came out right before I recorded this that Brandon Ayuk did sign a big contract. When I did my run on the playoffpredictors.com, I was factoring in that I thought that Brandon Ayuk might not be available to start the season, but also too, if they don't get a deal done with Trent Williams, I think Trent Williams not playing, if he's not in that game next week against the Jets or to start the season, that could be a very big hole. I mean, not can be, that is a very big hole on their offensive line. And I wonder if the 49ers are going to kind of have a Super Bowl hangover, which happens typically to the Super Bowl losers. So with that being said, I decided to stick with what I decided on last night when I put this together. I got the Rams winning the division. I got the 49ers finishing second. I got surprised. I actually got the Cardinals finishing third, and I got the Seahawks finishing fourth. I think the Rams, right? Their offense can be great. I'll be honest though, I have my concerns over Matthew Stafford staying healthy, but they made the additions on the offensive line where I'm betting on that they're going to be able to protect them and run the ball and then turn to the pass as they need to. Now, will the young players without young Aaron Donald on the defensive side deliver? With that being said, I like the young talent that they have on the defense. It's not going to be the same type of defense, of course, with Aaron Donald, but I think just because of Sean McVay, I'm betting on that they're going to figure out a way to win this division as long as Stafford stays healthy. Now, the 49ers, right, let's just go ahead and get to them. They can definitely win the division, but I do have this inclination they're going to have that Super Bowl losers hangover this year. If Trent Williams ends up holding out, I don't know. As I'm recording this, maybe he did sign a contract extension. The Christian McCaffrey calf injury, is that going to linger into the season? The reason why I had them finishing second, I just feel like the 49ers are going to have a slow start to the season, and then they're going to push and get to the second place of this division and get into the playoffs. Now, the Cardinals, I think the Cardinals offense is going to be overlooked this season. I like what they have in their wide receiver room, in the tight end room, in the running back room, and they just really need that offensive line to gel, and if they can, I think the Cardinals offense is going to put up a lot of points this season. My biggest concern with them is their defense lacks overall talent, and they don't really have a guy that you can look at and be like, oh, that guy's going to get consistent pressure at the quarterback. So they can scheme up a lot of things. My thing is, I really liked what I saw from the Cardinals at the end of the year, and I just think they could surprise people this year. I'm kind of like I put the note in here. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I think they could be a surprise playoff team, even though I don't have them making the playoffs in my predictions. But I think the Cardinals are going to be a lot better than what people think heading into the year. Seahawks, I don't know what it is. I'm just down on them, right? Can Geno Smith keep it going as an older quarterback, or is he going to finally take a step back and be the Geno that we saw prior to these last couple of years in Seattle? Are we going to see Sam Howell at some point of this year? They have great skill position players in Seattle where they could repeat what they've done over the last couple of years, but for whatever reason, I do feel like the quarterback position is going to hold back Seattle this season. And the defense, they do have the pieces for Mike McDonald to work with. I think he'll get the best out of them. It's just that, outside of Witherspoon, the cornerback, I like Julian Love. There's just some people. I'm just their defense just overall doesn't excite me, and I think we're gonna see the Seahawks kind of step back where they finally need to go get a young quarterback for this team to be successful going forward. My award winners, MVP, I did it. I'm going with Kirk Cousins. I don't know what the odds are, but I think Kirk Cousins is going to really have a great year with Atlanta this year. So I got him being the MVP. My offensive player of the year, I'm going with Garrett Wilson because I'm betting on a healthy Aaron Rodgers. And if you guys know me, I love year three wide receivers, and Garrett Wilson's entering year three, and I think he's going to have an outstanding year. My defensive player of the year, I am going to go with Micah Parsons because Micah Parsons is going to be trying to get a big contract extension next year. So I think he's going to rack up a lot of sacks this year. My offensive rookie of the year, I'm going to go with Caleb Williams. I mean, that's a chalk pick, because he does have Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Roma Dunze. They got Cole Kmet, Gerald Everett. DeAndre Swift can catch a lot of balls. So I see a lot of high level production. And if a rookie quarterback that went number one puts up a high level of production, that's usually going to be your offensive rookie of the year. Defensive rookie of the year, I'm going with Laiatu Latu, the edge rusher, the first defensive player selected in the draft. Biggest reason too is the Colts lost Samson Ebukam during the preseason to a torn Achilles, so that's actually going to lead to more playing time for Latu, and I could see him getting double-digit sacks and leading the rookies in production this year. Comeback player of the year, obviously, if I think the Jets are going to win the division, Aaron Rodgers, that's pretty simple. Tore his Achilles last year. He gets the Jets to the playoffs. He's probably going to win the award. Head coach of the year, I kind of spoiled it earlier. I got the new Falcons head coach winning the head coach of the year since I got the Falcons winning the division, and you'll see where I have them finishing in the playoffs. And the NFL executive of the year, I went with the Brett Veach, right? I think the Chiefs general man, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes get all this credit, but I think Brett Veach is due for his honors as for bringing in the talent that he has on the defensive side of the ball, and the fact that he traded away Tyreek Hill and he was able to continue to stockpile this at least serviceable weapons around Patrick Mahomes every season. So as far as my AFC playoff predictions, I have the Chiefs as the 1 seed, I have the Jets as the 2 seed, Texans as the 3 seed, Bengals as the 4 seed, and I got the Dolphins as the 5 seed. I do got the Colts as the 6 seed, and then I got the Ravens as the 7 seed. So those are my 7 playoff teams. My AFC Championship game, like I said, I'm bullish on Aaron Rodgers and those Jets. I got the Jets over the Chiefs to win the AFC. NFC, this kind of plays into the Kirk Cousins winning the MVP and Raheem Morris being my head coach of the year. I got the Falcons as the 1 seed, the Rams as the 2 seed, the Packers as the 3 seed, the Cowboys as the 4 seed, the Lions as the 5 seed, the 49ers as the 6 seed, and then I got the Eagles making it in as the 7th seed. My NFC Championship game, maybe I'm trying to write an NFL script on this, guys, but I got the Packers beating the Falcons in the NFC. So that sets up Jordan Love versus Aaron Rodgers. The NFL would absolutely love this Super Bowl if this were to happen. Even though I'm so bullish on the Jets, I don't know what it is. I just really like what the Packers got on the defensive side of the ball. I like all the weapons they have on the offensive side of the ball. I did it. I got the Packers beating Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, making Brian Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur making them look right in their decision to move on from the veteran Aaron Rodgers and picking Jordan Love as their quarterback. Probably going to be wrong, right? There's a lot of things that will happen between now and the Super Bowl, but yeah, those are my Super Bowl predictions. If you guys did enjoy that video, please hit that like button. As always, if you haven't subscribed or followed me on all my social media platforms, please do. Typically, I don't like to beg for subscribers, but I'm actually like 5 subscribers away on my YouTube channel from cracking 100. So if you guys have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please go over there and subscribe to it. I would love to get to 100 prior to the season. And then, yeah, you guys know what to expect from my video content throughout the season. Starting this Tuesday, you'll get my top waiver wire ads and streamable defenses. And then every Wednesday, you'll be getting my top starts and sits for every single week. And I will be beginning that next week. So stay tuned for that. That's why you want to subscribe to my channels and follow me so you know when this content comes out. I would like to hear your guys' predictions. Is there anything that you disagreed with? I'm sure there is. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy your week. We got college. We got the full slate of college football this weekend. NFL's back this week. I'm so excited. I hope you guys enjoy your week, your weekend, your night, your day, your morning, whenever you're watching this. I'll talk to you next Tuesday. Peace out.